I will one, I will one, two, I will live the direct, I will be BRfm.
Good morning, this is Andrew Cross on BRfm. I'm here today with a special guest. Mark Labbett is here, the beast from ITV1's The Chase. Hello, Mark.
Hi there, thanks for inviting me on this very cold Sunday morning.
We thought we'd pick the day with the most snow just to make it difficult for you to get up from Newport.
It certainly did. The A467 was, I've known better roads, but I managed to get here.
You were actually born in Newport, is that right?
No, born in Tiverton in Devon.
All right, okay. And then you moved to Newport when you was quite young?
No, I moved to Newport in 1998.
All right.
So the research went well then.
That's Wikipedia for you? Always reliable.
Oh, you know by now. We never rely on Wikipedia.
No.
Occasionally to check something, but never for primary data. And bear in mind that will change, so by tomorrow it'll have something totally different on there, I suspect. It's a rookie mistake that in your research.
I'm going to sack the researcher, which is me, so I'm sacked myself, which was not good. So, living in Newport now, did you see the programme The Bouncers? This is the most popular question I've been asked to ask you, is The Bouncers really an accurate interpretation of Newport?
Oh, of course not. I mean, I reckon if you get a producer with a TV camera and shall we say a script to follow, they could go to any decent sized town or city in the country, and if they pick the right or wrong spot they can make pretty much the show they want to. I mean, obviously it helped that the individual bouncers sort of played up to the cameras a little bit, but I mean, I was out on Friday night and perhaps the cold helped or whatever. It was nothing like as bad as it's portrayed. Bear in mind, they filmed that over several days and they picked, if you like, the best or worst incidents to show.
Yeah, true, very true. I used to go out in Newport to the Ritzies. Have they still got that there?
I'm not sure about that. I don't think I'm getting old now. I'm in my 40s, you know.
I'm close to 40 as well. Right, okay, you've picked 6 or 7 really good songs for us to play. So the one that I like to start with, this is the Pet Shop Boys, It's a Sin. Any particular reason for the Pet Shop Boys?
When I was up at Oxford, I had a good mate of mine called Dermot from Newcastle, and when he dismissed them as talentless London trendies, I knew their future was assured, so right from the start they're quite good, and I just love the big orchestral start of It's a Sin. You know, it's just instant classic, basically.
Number 1 for ages, wasn't it? So.
Absolutely.
It's a Sin by the Pet Shop Boys. I'm here with Mark Labbett from The Chase. Okay then, Mark, we've had Wikipedia telling us some wrong information, but is this one correct? Did you graduate from Exeter College, Oxford University?
I did. I got my 3rd class maths degree there in 1986 at the tender age of 20.
3rd class?
I know. I spent 3 years basically on the sports pitch. I always loved my sport. Wasn't any good at it, just a big lump, but didn't exactly work too hard.
So what sport was you playing, rugby or football?
Rugby, basketball, athletics, football, cricket, darts, rugby league, cross-country running, believe it or not, but that was strictly for the point. I must have played about 30 or 40 sports over 3 years. You name it, I played it. There was, normally it's the last person on the team just filling a body spot.
Was you just avoiding studying then? Was that the...
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I think my big problem is I've always been really good with numbers. I mean, in 2003 I came 6th in the World Mental Calculation Championship, so
wow.
I've got a little bit of a calculator in my head, which was a slight advantage for doing maths up to a certain level. But the problem is when you get to Oxford, the maths degree there, 90% of the stuff you're dealing with doesn't exist. It's theoretical. And while it was fun to do, I found it a big jump up in ability level.
Yeah.
And my problem is I don't think in 3 dimensions. I'd make a lousy pilot, so that would have helped.
So after you graduated from college, what jobs did you do then?
I had a gap year off between university and teacher training. That's where I learnt to play the quiz machines. I spent a summer at Butlins working as a barman, which was interesting. And they had, for those who might remember from the 80s, the Give Us a Break quiz machines based on the old DLT radio quiz.
Yeah.
And I soon found I could play them, and it got to the point where they became my personal piggy bank. So I used to start the week banking all but £3 or £4 of my weekly pay packet, and by the end of the week I had about £200 because just let's go out and get some money. nearly all in pound coins, which was nice.
So if you ever go into Wetherspoons, do they ban you from playing the quiz machines?
Those quiz machines have got a lot tougher now. The big difference was the early ones, they're basically whatever amount you'd won, if you finally got a question wrong, that was it, you still got the money.
Yeah.
Whereas now, if you get a question wrong, a lot of them, that's it, you've lost the money. So you tend to bail out, obviously, a lot earlier in those games. Plus, they've got a lot smarter. The earlier machines say there was only 10,000 questions, which might sound like a lot, but actually, if you've got a good memory, you can soon know the answer to most of them, and it doesn't matter what questions are coming up, you're going to know them.
Yeah. And most of the quiz machines now, they're actually based on television shows, aren't they? So is there going to be one for the Chase? That would be
probably
interesting.
will be, which, as I don't think I'm getting any royalties from it, I won't be too happy, but, it's... there's going to be one, there almost certainly. I'm not sure how they'll base it.
Yeah.
I mean, to my mind, it's a question of technology being superseded by the human element. With a lot of these quiz machines, they're fun to play, they're a bit of light relief, but they're not going to let you make the kind of big money that you could make a living from them in the 80s and 90s. I still know people who claim they make a living from them. It may be true. If they do, good luck to them.
Yeah.
Like I said, now I prefer to face the human element for the simple reason I know I can beat people. With those machines, once you've taken a certain amount of money, you can be playing there for half an hour, and you're on your 90th question, you still haven't seen a sniff of a prize.
Yeah, it's very true. So have you always been naturally good at remembering facts?
Yeah, I guess it's like everyone else. Some people have talents and they come to a fore. I mean, natural musicians, for example, can pick up anything and they'll be good at it.
Yeah.
I've known friends who are natural linguists, and their ability to pick up language frustrate the hell out of me because they make it look so easy. I'm lucky I'm a natural mathematician and I've got what I call a sticky memory. I think the key thing is you need to have an interest in things. If you're interested, you know a lot about them. For example, I bet you know tons about the music scene, far more than I do, because it's your interest.
Yeah, the last year was probably the best year ever for albums. It was 10, 15 albums which were absolutely amazing, but I see exactly what you're saying there. In 2005, I don't know whether this one is true, but I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
You captained Wales in the European Quiz Championship, is that correct?
Yes, I did, in Tallinn, in Estonia. Hooray, Wikipedia got one right.
How did Wales get on? Did we win?
For 2 years I was a captain. We came fifth both times. We just failed to make the top four in the semi-finals, but we won the plate competition both years. I think, was it 1 year, 2006, that we beat, in the plate competition, Estonia and Lithuania. So we called ourselves the Hammer of the Bolts. I mean, it's not bad for, obviously, a small nation. It was annoying because both years we were like a point away from qualifying for the top four. But then almost certainly we'd have been annihilated by England or Belgium in the semi-finals, who were the two big teams at the international stage.
Fair enough, okay. Right, let's have another song then. When you requested the songs, you said let's have a bit of punk. How about the Sex Pistols? I won't be able to mention the name of the album this song has come from for obvious reasons, but this is the Sex Pistols and the song is called Pretty Vacant. Great song, by the way. Hello, this is Andrew Cross on BRfm on this Sunday morning. I'm with Mark Labbett. The Chase is the programme on ITV1, and he is affectionately known as the Beast. So we'll carry on with our chat. Is this correct? You appeared on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire in March 2006.
Yes, I did.
So first question, what is Chris Tarrant like?
Really nice. He's a thoroughly affable bloke, both before and afterwards. You can see why he's been the top of his game for so long. He's obviously got an interest in people. He comes across as tremendously empathic, so I think, put this way, if he doesn't get on with you, there's probably something wrong with you.
Very true. We all remember him from Tiz Was. Remember that show?
Yes, I reminded him of that, and he said, "You're too young." I said, "No, I'm not."
Sally James, first crush for most guys our age, I would say.
Oh, yeah, don't remind me. Saturday mornings, yes, and of course the legendary Phantom and Flandfinger.
That's the one. That's the one who spit the dog.
Yes, if not careful, we're about to digress into 70s TV bores here.
Radio. So you won the £32,000, is
I
that
did.
correct? So what was the question that stumped you?
Miss Miller's Sense of Snow was a novel principally set in which country? And
What was the choices?
well, the choices, I used the 50-50 straight away,
Fair enough.
and I was left with a choice of Canada or Denmark. And this is where danger, where a little bit of information can work against you, because I'd just been watching the Winter Olympics, and they mentioned that Denmark's only representatives were the curling team, because Denmark's actually got a very similar climate to us. It's almost an island, and it's roughly similar latitude.
Yeah.
So based on that spurious logic, I thought, well, Denmark's not going to have that much snow then, so even though the name doesn't really sound Canadian, I'll go for Canada.
Yeah.
And it turned out Miss Miller was a Greenland Inuit or Eskimo, and so that was where she got her sense of snow from. So, oh well, it was a free shot for £32,000, and I zigged when I should have zagged, basically.
But it was still a nice payday, really, wasn't it?
Well,
Or was you hoping for better?
Oh, well, no, actually, I was more than happy, because that's one of those shows where there's no doubt the difficulty rating varies between shows. And, for example, you do not want to be on just after there's a big winner, because suddenly it gets a little bit harder.
Yeah.
And basically, at the end of the day, it was the better part of 2 years' salary for an hour's work. Yippee. After tax, at any
You
rate.
can't really fault that, really, can you? So-
My mate was on 2 weeks later, and he won £125,000.
Wow.
And as Chris Tarrant said at the time, you've just been paid like a Premiership footballer. Which he went, yeah, but only for this week.
That's true, very true. And probably didn't go on strike either and spit the dummy out as well. But,
Yes, it's, don't get me started about Premiership footballers. It's no, mind you, it's good money for them. You can't blame anyone for taking that sort of money, but at the same time, I think you know a few people who go, I think in their own way they deserve something similar. I would say me, but that'd be cheeky.
but they changed the format now, haven't they? Now it's 12 questions to get to the £1 million.
Yeah.
It's a lot quicker. They even have a timer, don't they, for the first 50, up to 50,000.
Well, they've stopped taking regular members of the public on the show now. It's nearly all celebrity versions.
Yeah,
it was a
true.
great show in its day, and it
was,
reset the bar. And of course, when it started, it was great event television.
Yeah.
I think the mistake they possibly made was it was on so much that it became normal.
Yeah.
And so suddenly you had people winning 100,000, and instead of it being big, wow, must-watch TV, it was just, oh, they only won 100,000 that day. I think if they'd have kept it as a Christmas special that was on a week or 2 weeks before Christmas, you'd have still have huge rating. I mean, obviously it's been a massive success, but effectively it's a show that, excuse me, sort of stayed on a bit too long,
Yeah.
and it's got such a big budget that it needs to be doing better than it was.
Yeah, it's a shame. It was mind-blowing television when it first came on, to be fair. Somebody can win £1 million just by answering 15 questions.
But it's also now set the bar that shows now that say only offer £20,000 or £50,000 are thought of in some way a bit cheap or bargain basement, rather than, hang on a minute, that's a massive amount of money.
Yeah. There's a show on now, isn't it, with Jeremy Kyle, where they can win, was it, up to £500,000? But I've never seen anyone try and get more than £25,000 on it.
I've got to be careful here as a loyal ITV employee, but let's say as a mathematician, the odds of somebody actually going for the 100,000 was low, the 500,000 is non-existent. Forgive me, ITV, but I don't know if that show will be recommissioned because the ratings weren't very good.
I quite enjoyed his banter with the contestants. I
Oh,
was
he was
very
very
surprised.
good.
Yeah, he was good.
There was a Newport contestant on, Jill Truick, who won £10,000, and I know her family quite well. And of course, she's very happy. There's a pensioner, 10 grand, tax-free. Thank you very much.
Exactly.
I thought he was quite a good host, but the knives seem to be out for him a little bit. That
Yeah.
I think people assume because he's now pigeonholed as Jeremy Kyle TV, when he tries to do something else, people sort of are looking to put the knife in. I thought he was a perfectly decent quiz show host.
Yeah, it was excellent. Fair play. Right, we've got another song coming up. What's the logic behind this song? This is The Killers, When You Were Young.
Well, you know the game Guitar Hero?
Yes, I do.
I have nephews and nieces, and when it came out, this was one of the songs on there, and The Killers are one of these bands that I didn't really know who they were, but I kept going, well, that's a good tune. And then I looked at it and thought, oh, they did that, and they did that, and Mr. Brightside, and they did that, you know, being you. And I sort of got to like them. And when my nephew and me played, when we were, is it when we were young or when you were young?
When you were young,
When
according
you were
to
young.
our database, which I assume is right.
You could tell the difference in the generations. The youngsters at 7 or 8, their faces were a study of concentration. They were playing the notes. My brothers and I, being slightly aging wannabe rockers, there was more than a hint of air guitar in our play.
I can imagine.
Now my nephew's 11. I don't play him anymore because he murders me. But, when it comes to video games, I've definitely reached Eskimo Day. But anyway, I just think it's a great song.
It is a great song, and this is coming up now. This is When You Were Young by The Killers. Hi, this is Andrew Cross on BRfm. I'm here with Mark Labbett, who's the beast of ITV1's The Chase. If you've got a question for Mark, then give me a call. I'm on 01495 313003, and within reason, we'll ask him that question. Give me a call, though, when the song is on, because obviously I can't pick up the phone as we're talking, if you know what I mean. Or, alternatively, you could email me, studio@brfm.co.uk. BRfm, best radio for miles. Okay, Mark? We'll talk now about your, it's television career. It's got to be called a career because you've been on quite a few shows. In 2007, you entered the National Lottery People's Quiz.
Yes.
And you came second, which is pretty good.
Yeah, first prize £200,000, second prize bus fare home. So, yeah.
Did you seriously get nothing for coming second?
Nothing at all.
That's unbelievable, isn't it? Blimey,
It was the time they wanted a big value prize, and
yeah,
and so as a result of it, that everything went on first prize.
That's fair enough. The winner was Stephanie Bruce.
Yes.
Don't see her very often now, do you? Or on
Uh,
television?
I've got to be careful what I say, because I think she might well be appearing on a show in 2012.
Oh,
but
right.
I won't reveal anything more than that. I know she got married recently, so she's changed her surname. Lovely girl. But, this will teach me to give advice to people on how to play buzzer quizzes better, because she promptly turned around and used it against me in the final. But fair play to her, on the day she deserved to win.
Yeah. The guy who was favourite, well, it was, I can't think of his name now.
Olaf Bjorton.
Yeah, that's right.
Former world champion, and I think he's still current European champion. That's an example of, this will have some sympathy for Big Brother contestants. There was a certain hint of editorial, shall we say, bias in it, that everyone was saying Olaf was going to win, including me.
Yeah.
But they left out my comments. They decided they wanted to make me the bad boy for that show for some reason. I don't know why. It fitted their sort of pigeonholing of contestants, I guess.
But that, making you the bad guy, I think really give... the producers of The Chase the inspiration maybe to choose you for that programme, because you did come across as brash and arrogant, but you were compelling to watch, where the other contestants were answering questions when what's Mark going to say this week, do you know what I mean?
Well, brash, I guess there's a hint of arrogance about me. I prefer to think of it, well, one man's arrogance and another one's confidence.
That's
I know
true.
I can quiz. And what was happening were, they were asking me questions, and being I'm not autistic, but I can sort of see it from a bedroom window, so I tend to take refuge in a honest reply where possible.
Yeah.
So they ask me questions like, do you think you can win? I say, yes.
Of course.
Well, why? I'm captain of the Welsh quiz team. They, of course, leave out the bit where I then say, but I'm going to come second to Olaf, because it doesn't fit the, if you like, the storyline of the show.
Yeah.
But so they asked me questions, and I gave them honest replies. It was interesting. I have other friends who made the finals and that. They were always asked, who are you playing for? Who do you want to win for? Every question, virtually, excuse me, every question I got asked was, what did I think of so-and-so?
Yeah.
And they wanted me to make some basic personal comment about them. And I'm not going to do that. If they asked me, I gave what I thought was a technical opinion of their quiz ability.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I think they're good in this area, they're weak in others. They said, do you think you can beat them? And I went, yes. And I said, but I'm playing for £200,000. If I don't think I can win, what am I doing here? But, of course, they leave out the bits that don't fit the storyline. So this is what I mean about I've got some sympathy for Big Brother contestants who complain about editorial... What's the word they use? Editorial, not dictatorship.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
But they complain that they're edited to match the editorial slant to make them look a certain way.
Yeah, see what I mean. On the quiz, they had 3 judges. They had
Yeah.
William G. Stewart from 15 to 1 fame. who I
Lovely bloke.
Yeah. And then, bizarrely, in my opinion, they had Myleene Klass and Kate Garraway. Are they quiz experts? What was that about?
I'm probably not the right person to comment about that. All I'll say is Myleen's a lovely lady.
Well, Kate Garraway seemed to take an instant dislike to you. Was the feeling mutual?
Oh, I've met her several times since, and I get on really well with her. I was going to be, she was on before Christmas on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and she ran out of time, but I was due to be a phone a friend.
All right. Okay.
So, we obviously, as proverbially, kissed and made up, but she had a job to do. She was the, dare I say it, the female Simon Cowell role.
Yeah.
But the problem was, the whole problem with that show was they were trying to make a quiz version of the X Factor. Now, with the X Factor judges, they at least have a certain eminence in their field, so you can respect their opinion. You can respect Louis Walsh and Simon Cowell for what they've done, Gary Barlow, Talisa. They've all done their bit on the show.
Maybe not Gary Barlow, but I agree with the others.
Okay. Well, whereas on this show, William G. Stewart, Quizmaster,
Yeah, exactly.
possibly one of the greatest show ever, 15 to 1. The other 2 were there to give expert opinion. Now, they were telling the likes of me and Olaf, who are both international quiz players, how we'd be better quizzers. And I think you could see the look on our face. They cut out the bit where I said, Kate, how many international caps have you won?
Exactly. So, speaking of 15 to 1, you were,
Yeah.
I know you don't really want me to bring this up, but I got to. You appeared on 15 to 1,
Yeah.
and how did you get on?
Yep, 2 questions, got them both wrong, straight out. It happens.
Unbelievable.
Next.
Unbelievable.
Oh, that's the beauty of that show.
Yes. Yes, great.
And you've just, with hindsight, you just got to smile and go, it could happen. And it
Great.
did.
Okay, we're going to go for another one of your selections now. We're going back, I think this is to the 70s with Rainbow. Since you've been gone, is that one of the bands you grew up with?
Yeah, I got the album and just, much as I like pop and it's nice and fluffy and whatever, occasionally you feel the need to rock. At the
Definitely.
gym I train at, for some reason Saturday afternoons is rock afternoons, so the gym, and suddenly it's like, yes, need a bit of action.
Pump some
And,
iron with some rock.
there's not enough rock played on. I need a balance. I think the charts have probably got slightly too much pop in it, so let's have something different.
Quite right. This is Rainbow, Since You've Been Gone. Enjoy. This is Andrew Cross on BRfm. I'm here with the Beast. That's Mark Labbett from The Chase on ITV1. So we haven't talked about The Chase yet. I've deliberately left that quite near the end, because this is obviously what you're best known for. So you were signed up to The Chase, which has been a huge hit. Did you expect it to be such a big success?
No. I remember chatting to the producer about 2 years ago, and I said to her, do you think we'll get 2 million this series? She said, oh, no. I said, we won't be that lucky. I said, we were getting about 1.5 million viewers at the time, and that was regarded as a hit.
Yeah.
Last Tuesday, the first show of what's the new batch coming out, we got 3 million viewers, which massive hit. We're ITV's daytime's biggest show for 5 years. We're getting ratings that the last time their ratings that good was Paul O'Grady. I wouldn't mind having Paul O'Grady's salary, but so it's a massive, and especially with the kids for some reason, we're very popular with school kids.
Yeah. Golden Balls was pretty good, but I think The Chase for a 5 to 6 slot is ideal, isn't it, really? Family entertainment, family viewing.
Well, I was chatting to John Parrott, the snooker world champion and commentator, and he came up with the lovely line, you can't go wrong with a quiz at tea time, and
Yeah.
he's right. You can get the tea ready, it can be on in the background. You don't actually need to watch it, you can listen to it, and it's family-friendly viewing. You can watch it if you're 5 years old or watch it at 85. We've had some great contestants who are 18, I think is the youngest. We've had a couple of octogenarians play, and they've been very good value. In fact, 1 or 2 of them have absolutely stitched me up. So it's, and that's nice because we pick contestants that we've got a much more diverse contestant base than a lot of other shows, which
Very
tend to
true.
pick more in the 20s and 30s.
Do you ever find that the four contestants don't know each other and don't speak to each other before they go on the show? Is that correct?
The first time they meet is in the green room beforehand.
So have you ever had them not getting on and arguing between them?
On the advice of learned counsel, no comment. Yeah, a lot of teams do bond very well, some don't. And I have to say, we can tell when they don't get on, and forgive me, that's where a bit of psychology comes in handy. Any chance to drive a wedge between them, and I'll take it.
There was one show, which I'll never forget, where you offered a guy minus £500, and he took the minus £500 and went back to his team, and they had £500 less than the total. What did you think of that guy?
No comment. I actually, you have to start using the minus offers, because the person in fourth position, if there's already 2 or 3 people qualified to the final, their actual personal share isn't going to change that much, depending on what that you're offered. So you could offer them, like, we were offering like a 5 or a tenner, but they were doing the calculations and going, hang on, in practice that makes very little difference to me.
Yeah.
So we needed to start putting the minus offers in to actually stop the fourth player just cutting and running in that situation. Personally, I've got every sympathy with a weak contestant taking the low off, because that's what it's there for. If they're not very good, fine.
Yeah.
And bear in mind, if they're specialists, they can be deadly to us in the final chase. I mean, we're always afraid of the teenager or early 20s who knows their current pop culture, because we're all a bit older in the tooth. We're not quite so hot on our up-to-date music and TV.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. You were originally the only chaser with Sean Wallace in the first series. Then Anne Hegarty came along in Series 2, yeah? And then Paul Sinnard joined in Series 4. Do you get on with the other chasers?
Oh, yes. I mean, we and Paul and I all play on the national quiz circuit, so we've known of each other's abilities for quite a while. I mean, I would say, well, I'm a middle-aged bloke. I'm easily replaced in the show, because most of the top quizzers are white men in their 40s and 50s.
Right.
Anne was literally, it took them 16 months to find her, and I'd say she's the nearest thing to fireproof, because, forgive me ladies, but I think she's the only woman out there in the country who can do that job. And they would love a second female chaser, but there isn't one out there who's got her breadth of knowledge. They've nearly all got a pretty major weak spot, and the thing about our show is we've got to be all-rounders. We need to be able to cover everything.
Yeah, I understand. It's obvious to the viewer that all 4 of you badly want to win each game. Do you get upset when you lose?
Are you kidding? Not quite as bad as the Australian cricket team, but oh boy, I don't like it. I don't mind if they win, if they play well.
Yeah.
I hate it when I lose, when I make the silly mistake.
Yeah.
You know, on Friday's show, I mean, I said Philip Peters rather than Peter Phillips, and that's because I was rushing, and afterwards I'm kicking myself because it's bad technique. But that's what happens when you're trying to play at speed. Occasionally, you know, your mouth engages before your brain does.
Well, you get the questions so quick fired at you. It must be difficult to get them all right continuously.
I think it's a combination of talent, training, and experience. You get used to it, and almost, I find that I'm at my best when to use the terrible phrase, in the zone. I don't concentrate on anything other than the sound of Bradley's voice.
Yeah.
That's one of the tells. You know, I'm in trouble when I start looking round and not concentrating on precisely the questions coming out. Other chasers, you can see when the pressure starts to come on them, and that's when we become human, as it were, and start making mistakes. If we just answer questions and stay calm, we're hard to beat.
Bradley Walsh, obviously, he's the presenter. He's done loads of things in his career, and he's, well, do you get on with Bradley? Is he as nice a guy in real life as he comes across on TV?
That's the beauty of working with Bradley. He's exactly the same front of camera as backstage. He gets really well. I mean, they cut out, obviously, a fair bit for editing purposes, but I think one of the success of the show is it's fun. You can see, okay, even though there's quite a bit of money at stake, we're not faking it. We're enjoying ourselves. Bradley's having a great time. He's a very funny guy, and he's a great host for it. I won't mention he was originally in the lineup for the chase to be one of the hosts. Sorry, the host. But now I can't imagine someone other than Bradley doing it.
No, it's definitely his show now, isn't it?
And the fact he calls it his personal pension plan says it all about how successful it is.
Do you actually get to choose the cash that's offered for each step up and step down? Is there a limit that you can offer? You obviously can't offer £1 million to somebody, but is there a maximum you can offer?
Let's say it's a collaborative process, and I'm afraid I can't say any more than that. There's a whole variety of factors that go into what the offers make. Game situation, personality of the contestant, how confident we're feeling. And, for example, if the contestant has been talking a really big game while they've been sitting down, that is going to affect especially their lower offer and quite possibly their higher offer.
Yeah.
Plus, there's a little bit of the angler in you. You're thinking, how much do I need to offer to... Ideally, you want to pitch it at just the right amount that you can see them going,
Yeah.
You want to tempt them.
Okay, very interesting. We'll talk more about the chase after your next song. This is a bit of a surprise for me. This is very modern. This is Jessie J, Where Nobody's Perfect. Big Jessie J fan?
Yeah, it's one of the albums I bought last year. I just thought it's very well produced music. I mean, I could have picked her or Adele, but I'm thinking Adele probably everybody's picking at the moment. So
True.
my brother bought the album for his daughters and didn't realise he should have bought the what's the phrase, family-friendly version. But just some really good songs on there.
She's good, wonderful personality as well. She was on Jonathan Ross last night, and she comes across as a really nice person, to be fair. This is Nobody's Perfect, Jessie J. This is Andrew Cross on BRfm. I'm here with Mark Labbett. We've got only about 7 minutes left now, Mark, so let's talk about the celebrity version of the hit TV show, The Chase, which you're a big part of. Now, it was aired on Saturday nights between October and December last year. Are there more episodes scheduled for the celebrity version?
Yes, there definitely are. I think we're going to be filming them in the summer. I'm not sure how many episodes yet, but we've got celebs queuing up actually now, whereas Series 1 they were quite brave because quite a few were scared of us. Yet the ratings were excellent. Anne was really happy. One of her shows, 4.5 million viewers, and she actually got more people watching her than watched the Beyonce special later on. So we keep saying to her now, bigger than Beyonce.
Quite literally, perhaps, but
I never say that for a lady. That was right.
That was me. I apologise, but she does get a lot of abuse from Bradley, doesn't she? To be fair, she's. What does he call her?
Well, the governess and Frosty Nickers.
Frosty Nickers.
We're all scared of her, so I mean, it's fear on Bradley's part. That handbag of hers, he doesn't get within 5 yards of it.
That's fair enough. So, are there any definite celebrities booked? Are you allowed to digress any further on that?
I don't know that. All I know is I do know is when I've been bumping into the odd one or two in the corridors of ITV, they're now going, oh, I'd like to do that. And every time I make a note and pass it on to the producer and see if they actually mean it or not. But hopefully there'll be a pretty good list. One of the things I was pleased about the first series was they actually got proper celebrities in the 24 of them. You'd heard of them all, you knew what they did, etc. Mentioning no name celebrity Big Brother, but you actually heard of a few of them. That's the good thing about ITV, they can get the celebrities out.
There was some very good quizzes on there as well, wasn't there? To be fair, Sean Williamson was excellent.
Yeah,
it was really good.
There were some pretty good ones all round and some specialists, and Jenny Frost, for example, did manage to tan my proverbial on pop culture, but that's what she's good at. I mean, the three best all-rounders were Lawrence Llewellyn-Bowen, who was brilliant on everything bar sports, but he had Phil Tufnell next door to him, so he covered that. Sean Williamson is a quizzer. I know he's won titles down in Kent with his pub quiz team. You know, he can hold his own in any competition. And similarly, Paul Ross is a brilliant quizzer, especially anything entertainment-based. You can tell he's got the passion for it.
Definitely.
And so the good news is that I suspect they'll be up for more of those challenges. But we're going to get a good bunch of celebrities in. I'm pretty certain of that.
Obviously, the celebrities, they're playing for a charity. So do you find it more difficult to compete knowing that the actual prize money is going to charity rather than the pockets of the contestants?
No, I'm a moral vacuum when it comes to that. I always take the view that it's not my job to decide who's on the show. Everyone who comes on the show in the daytime version is given the chance to play for a large sum of money.
Yeah.
And if they haven't got the courage, skill or luck to take it or whatever, it's not my problem. I figure the only fair way to do it, rather than me try and make moral judgment, is I play as hard as I can with everybody. And I'm sure the other chase is exactly the same. I'm always being asked, did you go easy on people, or did you throw that question or throw that game? And I say, I've done over 70 shows now. I said, I can tell you I haven't thrown a question, let alone a game. It's not in my nature. And it's not in the, you know, it's what we do. We have pride.
Exactly. We've had a question come through from one of our listeners, Carol, and she's asked, do you actually wear a earpiece on the show?
No, we do not wear an earpiece on the show. Let me get that out of the way. Since 2007 and the Blue Peter phone-in scandal, quiz and game shows have got a lot better at the compliance end of the shows. So that generally means basically the shows must be seen to be fair.
Yeah.
Our show, for example, has an independent adjudicator or referee, and as an ex-rugby player, that makes life real easy for me. I just accept whatever decision he or she makes. And it's as fair as it can possibly be. I always answer the question. I know quiz shows have had a bad reputation in the past, and in some cases deservedly so.
Yeah.
Our show is as honest as it can be, and the best way I can put it is this: if we were dishonest and someone was feeding me the answer, you'd have a much better looking actor doing my role. They wouldn't have a big fat bloke like me sitting up there.
Possibly. Right, we'll have to close it now because it's getting up to 12. Mark, thanks for coming on and really appreciate it. You've been a great guest. Really enjoyed it. Keep watching The Chase. 5 o'clock ITV1's on weekdays. So it's a brilliant show. And to play us out, another choice from Mark. This is Madness and Baggy Trousers.